Alright, I'm ready.
Can I put through?
So does
Okay. So today we are going to kind of review what we did yesterday. Okay? So before we started our lesson yesterday with reading, what did I have you do? I had you turn to your neighbor, and what did you talk about? Rachel. Was the first thing I asked you to turn to your neighbor and talk about? Okay, that's okay. Matt?
what you saw like in the story with the images.
Yep, we got to that, but we talked about different strategies that you all have learned to use that help you while you're reading, right? And what were a couple of the strategies we had talked about? Rolando.
Text itself.
Okay, so that was, just raise your hand. Okay, so text to self, and that was a connection. And what was text to self that we talked about?
Like that happened to you.
Okay,
once,
so you're making
or-
connections between stuff that you're reading
that-
and experiences that you have personally had. What's another strategy that we have learned? JJ.
Picture walk.
Picture walk. And what's a picture walk?
You just look through the pictures and don't read the words and see what it's about.
Okay. What other strategies do we have that we've talked about? Talked about a couple of them.
What?
What have we been learning? Noah.
Visualizing.
Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. What's a couple of ones that we, in the past, that we've learned about? JC.
Making predictions.
Making predictions. And where do we look when we start making predictions?
Front and the back.
Front and the back. Where are other good places to look before you make a prediction? Madison.
In the book.
In the book. Maybe looking at the characters or the setting. What is another strategy that we've used? Kimmy?
Check for understanding.
Check for understanding. And how do you check for understanding? How do we do it? What are the couple things? We had Post-its for it. Jack, help her out.
What is it again?
Well, how do you check for understanding? We did the Post-its, remember? Kimmy?
Who or what check?
Who, where, what check. Okay? What's another strategy that we've gone over? Schema, okay? And that's a pretty big vocabulary word for third graders. What is schema? Prior knowledge. And where do you get this prior knowledge from, Rolando?
A file up in your brain.
A file in your brain. Okay? So today, tied on to yesterday's lesson, we learned a new strategy. And Noah, what was that new strategy that we learned yesterday? Visualizing. Okay? So can I have a volunteer read the first point of my visualizing poster? Paige?
I see what I read.
I see what I read. What's another one? Read the next one. Savannah?
I feel what I
I feel what I read. What else, Colin?
It's like a movie in my mind.
It's like a movie in my mind. And we had Andrew say that yesterday. That was the first thing. He had, who was it in your family?
My cousin.
Your cousin said while she reads, she plays the parts so that she's reading in her mind like a movie. She's putting together the setting and the place, and she's imagining the characters. Okay? So what else? What's the last one? JJ.
I create pictures in my mind as I read.
Okay. And how do we create pictures in our mind as we read? We did it yesterday, and all of you did a very nice job. How did you create these pictures from this book? I didn't show you any of the pictures. Except for one, the very first one. But how did you create those pictures? How did you do it, Destiny? By listening to the words. And what words helped you the most while I was reading? Say it, roll out.
Adjectives.
Perfect. And what are adjectives? What are adjectives? Alex. Descriptive words. And why did that help you create your mental image? Why did it help you? Rachel.
Tells you like a little more about it than just saying
It gives you more detail, so you are able to create that mental image. Okay, so today, just like I promised you yesterday, we're going to share a couple more of our mental images, and we're actually going to be able to take a picture walk to check out and kind of compare the similarities and the differences of what you came up with not even seeing the pictures. You came up with all of this just by listening, okay? So I'm gonna just take a real quick picture walk, and we already looked at the first one, the first page. And we're gonna just continue to walk on. And if anybody has anything similar to what we have, give me a thumbs up. If you see something that you have similar on your paper, go ahead and give me a thumbs up so I can tell you. What do you got? Do you see? The dark tunnels where they come out of, okay?
I do.
And how did you get that? Because you didn't see the book. I didn't show anybody the pictures, but you were listening to the words. Okay. What else? JJ.
The
The cricket. And how do we all know what a cricket looks like? Where do we pull that from? Jack.
our file cabinet.
Our file cabinet. And what's the file cabinet called, Rachel? Schema. Perfect. All right. What do we think this guy was? I thought I saw a glowworm. Anybody have a glowworm?
Oh, I did.
You had a glowworm,
It
Matt?
didn't look like that. It was just.
How'd your glowworm look?
It looked like just a regular one with like a little bit of glow on its skin.
Okay, very
I have
nice.
one for the tunnel.
Okay, we'll get there. What about this one? This one, I noticed that a lot of you were able to create mental images. Could it possibly be the text that he jumped onto a lily pad and drifted across the pond? That's very descriptive. You can see that in your mind.
Turned mine in at an accident.
That's okay. You're all right. Okay, I know I have a lot of pond pictures. Samantha also has what? Lily pads. Lily pads, okay? So that shows me that you were really listening to the text while I was reading. All right, did anybody have any dragonflies?
Oh, I do.
Yeah? All right, good job. And some spiders. And it even says in the text, in the middle of her web on the other side of Swamp Swallow Pond, the old one was waiting. And she goes on and says, Spider's life is spinning and waiting and waiting and spinning. So maybe you had a spider with its web, right? Okay, so while you create mental images using the strategy of visualizing, it's helping you remember what you're reading. It's helping you remember the details. It's helping you remember the different vocabulary. Okay? So today what we are going to do, if you want to look at this later, that's fine. I'm going to leave it up here for right now.
How about the frog on the side? You can't keep it.
Yep, that was another one. Yep. Okay, so today what I want you to do is put that paper under your bottom. Sit on it. I don't want to hear it rumble. I just want you to sit on it. Okay?
Oops, sorry.
Okay. Okay, just leave it for right now. All right, so what we're going to do today is still continue to practice making mental images. All right? So I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
What?
Close your eyes. Okay? I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to relax. And while I'm reading, this is one of my favorite books when I was a kid. It's called The Rain Babies. I want you to practice visualizing the words. Pull out those adjectives. Create that mental picture. Okay? You can either keep your eyes closed while we're doing this activity if it helps you, or you can just sit quiet and listen to the different adjectives and the different words that help you create the mental picture. Okay? All right. We're not going to get time to read all of it, so we're going to finish it tomorrow. But it's called The Rain Babies. In a small house in a green meadow lived an old woman and her husband of many years. Food they had aplenty, and a good roof over their heads, and the river ran close to their door. But the thing they wanted most was the thing they lacked, a child to call their own. The days of good, honest work left little time for pinning, but when twilight fell, the old woman would sit down at her table and sigh. If children grew in flower pots or blew down the chimney, with the March wind, what a lucky woman I would be. One spring night, the couple was tucked in bed, snoring softly, when a broad ribbon of white light slid across the old woman's pillow. Her eyes flew open as she sat bolt upright. Though she could hear the steady tattoo of rainfall on the rooftop, her gaze met the white face of the full moon, peering round-mouthed through her window. The old woman shook her husband. "Wake up, old man. I've heard the moon shower brings good fortune to everyone it touches." The old man rose, grumbling, and followed his wife outside. Through the shower had all but ended. The last drops of warm rain touched them. The old wife smiled and squeezed his hand. Then her eye caught a silver glint in the meadow grass. Bending down to get a better look, the woman gasped at what the moon revealed. Nestled among the wet blades of grass and the wild flowers were a dozen shimmering drops of water, each holding a tiny baby no larger than her big toe. Give me a thumbs up if you were able to create any sort of mental image. Maybe with the house, the small house in a green meadow, or the raindrops.
Yeah, we saw.
Okay.
Can I read that after you?
We'll see the pictures tomorrow.
Can I read it after you?
Yep. With utmost care, the couple gathered up the wee babies and brought them into the house. The woman dried them gently and set them on a soft cloth atop the kitchen table. 12 perfect little ones, all in a row. The old couple smiled and cooed at the babies until they began to yawn and rub their eyes with tiny fists. Then the woman wrapped the rain babies snugly in scraps of flannel and laid them to sleep in the dresser drawer. She and her husband, marveling at what had befallen them, returned to bed. Day after day, the old couple cared for the rain babies and soon grew accustomed to their ways. The infants seemed happiest after dusk and when the sky was overcast. When they were tired or wanted to be held, they cried out in tinkling voices and reached up with their plump little arms. Then the old woman and man soothed the rain babies in the palms of their hands or rocked them to sleep in a pair of wooden shoes lined with handkerchiefs. On a warm, hazy day, the old man and woman would carry the babies in a willow basket as they went about their chores. One cloudy morning, the family set out with fishing poles in their wooden boat to catch some supper. The woman placed the basket at her feet. The rain babies were soon lulled to sleep by the gentle roll of the river. The old man and woman baited their hooks and dropped their fishing lines into the water. No sooner had their hooks been swallowed by the river than the boat began to pitch. Seized by a powerful current, the boat was drawn into a foaming whirlpool. A mighty wave rose up and over the side of the boat, and before the old man and old woman could stop it, the basket of babies was swept overboard. We are going to stop right there. Shh. I will finish the book tomorrow. You will get to see all of the different illustrations tomorrow. But first, nope. Just leave it right there for a second.
They're carrying for water.
But first, when you go back, I'm going to have you fill out something that looks like this, okay? You need to put your name on it. And it says, "This was my most vivid mental image." While we were doing that exercise, there were nope, we're going to do it with this book. There was a bunch of different settings that took place with a bunch of different adjectives to describe that. All of you are going to have completely different mental images, and that's okay. Remember, there's no wrong or right answer as long as it goes along with the book, okay? So does anybody have any questions about this first? Madison.
Can we only draw one picture?
Yep, you're doing your most vivid mental image. You're just doing one. Brian, that was yours, okay? So I'm going to give you about 10 minutes when you get back to your desk. You can get out your crayons, and you're just going to choose something that you heard that was very vivid, okay? Go back to seat. Well, good job. Who's my paper passer? Me. Brian, will you pass that one out to everybody? Sure.
What are you supposed to do?